Look, I'm just gonna say it. I love JoJo's stand powers. Like, the weirder they are, the better. And you might think that I'd be talking about Part 6 because Part 6 just came out on Netflix. And while I am a big fan of Part 6, and it's just excessive amount of piss, man, Araki was going through something. I actually took this opportunity to catch up on Part 8. And you know how every JoJo protagonist has, like, their obvious power and then a cooler power that comes out toward the end of the series? Well, Gappy the protagonist, his stand soft and wet, had the ability to just take stuff from things. So he could actually steal objects, but he could also steal concepts. So, like, if he stole friction, you'd get all slippery. And he would put them in little bubbles. Cool. And in the end of the series, spoilers if you don't want to know what his final power is, it turns out that the bubbles are actually made by infinitesimally small vibrating strings, because Araki apparently read a book on string theory. But they're so infinitesimally small they cannot strictly be said to exist, which means that Gappy and his stand cannot strictly be said to exist, which means they have the ability to walk through anything. This includes walls and barriers between dimensions. It also includes time, or my favorite one, logic. Hirohiko Araki literally said that this character is impervious to logic. And I love that concept so much. I mean, partially it's because I think it's Araki flipping off power scalers. He does notoriously hate them. But just trying to think about what the implications of this mean break my brain. It means as soon as you make a logical statement about Gappy and soft and wet, it is not true. However, if you make the statement that it is not true, that is also not true, because they are not affected by logic. It means that any kind of boundary you try to encase them in, whether it's a logical boundary or physical one, they can walk through. Which means you can't call them a reality bender, because if you do, that's a classification, and they can walk through that. And you can't call them impervious to harm, because if you do, that's a classification, and they can walk through that. Like, it extends so far. It means that even the thought of Gappy, even the concept of this character, cannot be strictly said to exist, even in the fiction that it exists in. Like, just... Like, it really does feel like it's Araki going, screw you, you can't define this with a number, you can't define this with words, you can't define this with any sort of logic or philosophical statements, you can't do anything with it, it's my character, only I can do stuff with it, fuck you, end of story. And you know what, Araki? Respect.